He was supposed to be the NBA's next unstoppable force. Now he's barely on the court. Zion Williamson went from being the most hyped prospect since LeBron James to a cautionary tale of what happens when potential collides with pressure, injury, and weight. Literally. This isn't just the story of an athlete breaking down. It's the story of a league that tried to crown a king too early, and a young man who's been chasing the shadow of his own greatness ever since. What went wrong? How did we go from watching him break rims to watching him sit in street clothes? And more importantly, is Zion's career already over, or is this just the painful beginning of an all-time redemption arc? Zion Williamson wasn't just a high school phenom, he was a viral sensation. With every jaw-dropping dunk at Spartanburg Day School, he lit up social media like a human highlight reel. Scouts were mesmerized, fans were hypnotized, and NBA teams, they were ready to tank. In 2019, Zion was seen as the next LeBron. A blend of brute strength, explosive athleticism, and a magnetic personality. The NBA needed a new face, and Zion looked like the perfect candidate. When the Pelicans landed the #1 pick, it felt like destiny. A small market team had just pulled the golden ticket. Zion was about to change everything. The hype wasn't just real, it was astronomical. When Zion's name was called first overall in the 2019 NBA draft, the emotion was raw. Tears streamed down his face, and fans erupted with joy. The Pelicans franchise, still healing from losing Anthony Davis, was suddenly reborn. Advertisers lined up. Nike handed him a $75 million deal before he even played a game. NBA broadcasts used him in promos. He wasn't just a rookie, he was the league's new marketing machine. Everyone from Charles Barkley to Barack Obama had something to say about Zion. He was going to bring Showtime back to New Orleans. But what no one realized was how fragile that dream would become. Zion's long-awaited NBA debut came on January 22nd. 2020, and for a moment, it felt like the hype was real. He was coming off a knee injury that delayed his start by 3 months, but when he finally stepped on the floor, the energy inside the Smoothie King Center was electric. He looked rusty at first, tentative, cautious. Then, in the fourth quarter, it happened. Zion scored 17 straight points in under 4 minutes, draining 4 three-pointers in a row. It was as if someone flipped a switch, and the phenomenon we had all been promised came to life right before our eyes. Commentators raved. Fans erupted. Social media exploded. The NBA world watched and said, "He's here." But beneath the euphoria, there was a different story unfolding. A quieter, more concerning one. Even in that debut, he was under a minute's restriction. His team carefully monitored his movement. The explosion was there, but so was the hesitation. That first season, Zion played only 24 games. And though he averaged an impressive 22.5 points on 58% shooting, the narrative was already shifting. Can Zion stay healthy? In his second season, the numbers leapt. 27 points per game, 7 rebounds, 61% from the field. He looked dominant in the paint, practically unstoppable one-on-one. But he only played 61 games. Fans started to notice a pattern. For every stretch of brilliance, there was an injury timeout. A sore knee, a strained hamstring, a mysterious absence. And because of his weight, every minor injury raised bigger concerns. Could his body even survive the way he played? Could his joints handle the torque, the power, the elevation? The NBA hadn't seen someone built like Zion before, but maybe that wasn't a good thing. Instead of being celebrated as a unicorn, he was quietly being monitored like a science experiment with a time limit. And it was only a matter of time before the warning signs became impossible to ignore. Zion's biggest opponent wasn't another NBA player, it was his own body. Listed at 6 feet 6 inches and 284 pounds, he was built more like a defensive end than a basketball forward. His size gave him strength, but it also made him prone to injuries. Lower body stress, knee soreness, foot fractures, his frame couldn't consistently support his game. Rumors swirled that he was ballooning up to nearly 300 pounds during rehab. A viral Mountain Dew commercial where he looked visibly bigger than expected sparked debates about his commitment. Every offseason, the talk wasn't about improvement, it was about conditioning. The league was watching a Ferrari try to race with flat tires. Behind the scenes, cracks began to show. Zion missed the entire 2021-22 season with a foot injury but was spotted doing windmill dunks in pregame warm-ups, raising questions about transparency. There were whispers that he didn't communicate with the team. Even Pelicans exec David Griffin publicly stated that Zion needed to be more committed. Teammates were reportedly frustrated. When New Orleans made a surprise playoff push without him, it raised a terrifying question. Were they better without their star? Zion was becoming less of a savior and more of a mystery. When Zion Williamson was taken first overall in the 2019 NBA draft, The rest of the league wasn't just reacting, they were recalibrating. The consensus was clear. Zion was in a league of his own, explosive, marketable, dominant. He had the rare combination of athleticism and star power that made executives lose sleep. But just a few picks later, the Memphis Grizzlies selected a guard from Murray State, Ja Morant. Fast forward to now, and the gap between Zion and his peers has done more than close, it's flipped. Ja Morant quickly became a franchise-altering force. By his second season, he led Memphis to the playoffs and made a name for himself with fearless drives, high-flying dunks, and an underdog mentality. Despite recent off-court issues, Morant's on-court production has been undeniable. 2 All-Star appearances, an All-NBA selection, and a playoff series win, all while Zion was rehabbing. Then there's Darius Garland, the 5th overall pick. A late bloomer, Garland has blossomed into one of the league's top young point guards. He became an All-Star in 2022 and helped elevate the Cleveland Cavaliers back into playoff relevance, an accomplishment that Zion has yet to achieve in New Orleans. RJ Barrett, Zion's former Duke teammate and the 3rd pick, may not be a superstar, but he's carved out a solid role as a high-usage scorer and physical defender for the Knicks, and now the Raptors. Tyler Herro, picked 13th by Miami, has already played in multiple NBA Finals and won 6th Man of the Year. Even Cam Johnson, the 11th pick, has become a key floor spacer and playoff contributor. And what about Zion? Despite flashes of brilliance, he's played less than 50% of all possible games since being drafted. As of 2025, he's logged only 114 games, a shocking number considering we're 6 years into his career. The rest of his class has built resumes. Zion has built questions. The irony? Zion was drafted to be the safest bet in years. And yet, while others grind through full seasons, face playoff pressure, and grow as leaders, Zion's highlight reel still looks like it was made in a 2-month window back in 2021. Every year that passes, the comparisons grow more uncomfortable. Zion wasn't just supposed to be better than these guys, he was supposed to leave them in the dust. Instead, he's watching many of them lap him on the court in accolades and in leadership. And the scariest part is this: if his body doesn't cooperate soon, that gap may never be closed. There are moments when Zion reminds the world who he is, like when he dropped 43 points on the Timberwolves, or bullied defenders in the paint like prime shock in a power forward's body. Those performances spark hope. Maybe he can still become the player we all envisioned. But then a hamstring tweak, a foot flare-up, and just like that, he disappears for weeks or months. It's the basketball version of chasing a shooting star. Beautiful when it appears, but too rare to count on. His greatness isn't in question, his availability is. Zion's challenges haven't been limited to the court. He's been tangled in off-court drama, from messy social media entanglements to questions about his leadership. Critics have blasted his maturity and professionalism. Yet to his credit, Zion hasn't lashed out publicly. He's remained relatively soft-spoken, focused on rebuilding his image. His team has tried to control the narrative. He's rehabbing, working with nutritionists, refocusing. But the trust is eroded, and in the NBA, perception becomes reality. Zion's brand is no longer about highlights, it's about what if. As of 2025, Zion is still with the Pelicans, but the excitement is gone. He signed a 5-year, $197 million extension, one that now looks like a major gamble. He's only played in 214 games. Trade rumors swirl, and even Pelicans fans are conflicted. Keep hoping or cut losses. Zion's name no longer brings headlines of promise, but questions of disappointment. Once seen as the face of the league, he's now its biggest what could have been. The NBA moves fast, and right now Zion is watching it pass him by. Zion Williamson is only 24 years old. That fact alone keeps the door cracked open, just enough to let hope sneak through. He's young enough to rewrite his story, to flip the script, to shock the league and prove that the hype wasn't a lie, just delayed. We've seen it before. Joel Embiid missed 2 full seasons and went on to become the MVP. Grant Hill lost his athletic prime to injuries, but rebuilt his career as a respected veteran. Sean Livingston suffered one of the most gruesome injuries in basketball history, yet returned to win 3 championships. The NBA has always made space for comebacks, if the player wants it badly enough, but that's the question no one can quite answer with Zion. Does he want it enough? Not just the fame or the highlight moments, but the daily grind, the 6 a.m. workouts, the strict diet, the discipline when no one's watching. So far, Zion's career has been a war between his talent and his body, but now it's becoming a war between his potential and his choices. The Pelicans still believe in him, at least on paper. They gave him a 5-year, $197 million extension. But even that contract comes with language protecting the team from weight-related injuries. That's not trust, that's insurance. And behind the scenes, you can feel it. The whispers are getting louder. Will Zion ever be in shape? Will he ever take control of his own narrative? Or has the league already moved on? Because while Zion rehabs, rests, and recalibrates, new stars are rising. Victor Wembanyama is here. Anthony Edwards is turning into the face of the NBA. Even younger players like Scoot Henderson and Cade Cunningham are building towards something bigger. And Zion, he's becoming the story everyone avoids. Too painful, too disappointing, too many what-ifs. But here's the truth. Zion still holds the pen. He can still write the next chapter. The game hasn't closed the door, it's just stopped waiting. He can return. He can dominate. He can shut everyone up. But if he doesn't, if the injuries keep piling up, if the motivation slips, if the potential fades, then Zion Williamson will go down as one of the greatest what-could-have-been stories in NBA history. And not because the world gave up on him, but because he never fully showed up for himself.